hot tan. Huh. Yeah, dude, use that shit, bro.
Hot week in Congress with all these committees meeting, dealing with a million different things. Anywhere from border security to COVID-19 freaking stuff to IRS and the hearings about the ATF were going on this week. That ATF director, have you heard any of this stuff?
I have seen snippets, and that's about it. Like, one of the big ones was making pistol braces a felony to possess.
Right.
And it's kind of just out of nowhere. That's the thing, like, I still don't understand.
Well, Stephen Dettelbach, he's been tap dancing around the issue when it comes to pistol braces and all that, and he's been eating a bag of dicks all week. He has no answers.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, so I dealt with this as a cop. I've dealt with this as a military leader. I've dealt with this, many levels. So you have to know what your people are doing. I wouldn't say at all times, but most of the time. Like if they're like, hey, kids, where's second platoon at? I gotta know where my fucking platoon is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, hey, so how many guys you got in your platoon? Give me a head count. Well, okay, so I can give you a head count, but I should also know how many guys I have.
Right.
I should know what their equipment looks like, how many rifles do I got, how many pistols, how many night vision goggles, how many, I should have a list of all this stuff. And if they operate independently, I should have reports of after actions of what happened. Like if I sent out a squad on a patrol to freaking patrol this sector and the east side of town, and I send another squad patrol western sector, this side of town, and one of them brought back a detainee. I need to know these things. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you should micromanage, but you should know what your guys are doing. And a lot of the stuff, like Director Dettelbach seems to not. First off, he's a lawyer, former prosecutor. He doesn't seem to understand what his agency does. He's not versed, and you don't have to be an expert in firearms to be the director of ATF. It helps a great deal, though, considering you should be an expert in one of the three letters of that acronym: alcohol, tobacco, firearms. He's not versed in any of them. Aside from the fact that he probably drinks every now and then,
Still don't make you an expert.
Exactly. Just because you fell flat on your face doesn't, drunk, doesn't mean that you're an expert in alcohol. It's just there's a lot of things that he doesn't know, and he shows up to this committee meeting and has to eat his own dick. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, why would you step into a scenario like this and then eat your own dick and just sit there like it was delicious? It's fucking crazy. It's the level of unpreparedness. You know what I mean? Yeah. Does that make sense? Like, it's just kind of like, so listen to this shit. This is Representative Mike Johnson, Republican out of Louisiana. He questioned Stephen Dettelbach for a little bit here in the White House Judiciary Committee on precisely this thing. So this clip is about 5 minutes long, but I'll play a little bit of it just so you can kind of get the gist.
Mr. Johnson's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act is a law that provides important immunity to manufacturers and sellers of firearms from being liable when people misuse their products. There have been numerous instances, whether intentional or unintentional, of Biden administration officials and anti-gun advocates and even the president himself mischaracterizing that immunity provision that's contained in the statute. And I think the public would benefit from our setting the record straight on the issue. So, Mr. Dettelbach, as the director of ATF, do you agree with President Biden that this law's broad immunity means blanket immunity and that gun manufacturers are the only industry in America exempted from being sued by the public?
Again, I think the president has given numerous different times he's talked about this provision. Again, as ATF director, what Congress passes is what we deal with, and we don't do civil litigation in that sense.
So
that's not under our.
If that's true, and you're going to do what Congress says, then obviously you don't agree with the president. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but that's what that means.
I think the president has called on Congress to act. And what I'm saying is,
just answer this question.
I take what comes
As you interpret the statute, I assume you're familiar with the statute.
I'm familiar with the statute, but ATF doesn't do civil litigation liability in that sense. It's not.
Yes, sir. I know, but you're the director of ATF. You're familiar, for example, that vaccine manufacturers have some liability exemption for.
So he goes off a little bit and try to make it more relatable. When it comes to basically what turns out to be basically some level of qualified immunity for the gun industry, and as it relates to the freaking those damn braces. This guy he's just completely unprepared. Like he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what they're talking about. He doesn't seem to have. It's always a crazy runaround, and he never answers any of the questions directly. Some of the questions are clearly, you set this guideline that would, for all intents and purposes, turn millions of Americans into felons overnight.
Yeah.
And you can't answer whether it would turn millions of Americans into felons overnight, when what your policy states exactly that. So which one is it? Like what the fuck are you doing? Like,
it's the whole thing. Like, I don't understand. I see a lot of people that don't understand how the ATF can, with the stroke of a pen, make a new law turning people from law-abiding citizens who bought a product to felons, like with a pistol bracelet.
right.
So, pistol braces, if you're not familiar, all they do is brace the weapon to your forearm so you can use it as a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's their entire intended purpose.
Well,
but how does the ATF just change policy?
Well,
I've looked it up a
well,
little
the thing
bit. It's
is
a
that-
rulemaking power, so the ATF has the power to change its own rules and policies when it comes to firearms manufacturing and parts and stuff like this. So parts being, one of them is the pistol brace and the buttstock for any rifle. So that's how they're doing it, and I don't think it's right. I don't think it should be legal. I think the ATF should have to pass everything they want to do through Congress. So the ATF is under the authority of the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has to go to Congress for anything they do.
yeah, because
ATF should have to too. Why
Is
does
it-
the ATF have authority to just stroke a pen and be like, this is now illegal, and about a million or so of you are felons?
now, another thing that Director Dellenbach has not been. He can't answer some of the simplest questions out there for this topic, let alone answer some of the simple questions for his agency's reason of being. He can't answer why the ATF is even needed at all. He can't answer that. We live in the era of automation, era of massive proliferation of information. Phone calls are becoming even more obsolete. Everything is digitally done for the most part. Very little analog parts left around to deal with, which means that you could Hell, we can get a blood warrant in seconds now, as opposed to having to physically drive to a judge's house and have the judge sign it and all this other stuff. You can fax it, and judges
Not even
will
fax it, just email. Yeah.
Email it or fax it or whatever. You can
Direct
get them
message.
right back. Direct message communications. So with all that being said, the role of the ATF is a helper on the weapons side and alcohol and tobacco side for the FBI just kind of like seems a little bit more relevant. Now, of course, I'm not in the ATF. I didn't go to Quantico for any of this stuff. So there's a lot that I may be missing, and there's a lot that I don't know because I'm just not there.
Right.
But you can't have a federal agency just come up with these rules on their own and
Which is what's happening.
make them enforceable. So a lot of the arguing that's been going on at Capitol Hill is not only Republicans, but Democrats are also not liking this.
Right.
Because it opens up the door for any federal agency to say, well, this is illegal now, and you got 30 days to not do that no more, or you're going to jail. Well, wait, what? So the circumventing of Congress is this battle. Somebody's going to be obsolete. The Congress that'll become obsolete, or it'll be fucking the agency itself that'll become obsolete. You know what I mean? Like, it's because you can't circumvent the process.
The thing is, they have been.
And they have been.
And this is not the first time the ATF has done this. The ATF has done this over and over and over again over the past decades. Past several decades that I remember. I mean, bump stocks became illegal.
Didn't they do that by in the same fashion?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This is not the first time.
Yeah, but what was the uproar on that one?
On bump stocks?
Yeah.
Well, the whole purpose of a bump stock is to make a weapon fire extremely fast without making it a fully automatic weapon. So all it does is pushes the weapon back enough to where the trigger resets while you're still depressing the trigger, and then you can fire again just with the same pressure you're still using. So it just resets the trigger really, really fast. Instead of changing any kind of inner workings of the gun, it makes the gun fire really, really fast. So it'll fire with the same cyclic rate as a 240.
Okay. I mean, I'm not familiar with bump stocks because
Yeah, that was the whole purpose of bump stocks.
a friend of mine told me once upon a time that was stupid, and don't put that on your gun. That's stupid. So I never did. I never really.
Even if it is stupid, who gives a shit? One, it's your property. If you're using the gun for a fun time, because a lot of us, we do have fun firing guns. It's an enjoyable time. You can take your family out and do it, friends, whatever. It's a good time. So you take the bump stock out there, put a bump stock on one of your weapons, and instead of firing single bullet per trigger pull, you depress the trigger, and now the stock is resetting the trigger for you. Instead of you releasing pressure, it's the stock doing it. This is a good design.
Yeah.
It's an interesting design. I mean, it's your property. You use it however you feel. Now I can see somebody that thinks ahead and thinks, well, what if somebody uses this to assault people? Then yeah, they have an extremely fast firing weapon.
He took some blasts on this committee hearing. Trying to bring up one of the other ones that let's see if this one by I believe it's Wesley Hunt.
I'm going to say the quiet part out loud because we all know exactly what's going on here. It wasn't the fully automatic machine gun that was banned in 1986. It wasn't the bump stock. It certainly is not the pistol brace. And it is not the AR-15, of which I am the owner of multiple. The left has been chipping away at our Second Amendment rights for decades, and I'm sick of compromising. Every time my colleagues on the right compromise on guns, the next thing the left says is, we need to do more. And if the left can't repeal the Second Amendment, then they'll have an unelected bureaucrat like yourself, sir, issue a regulation that will make 40 million Americans felons overnight. That's a fact. Compromising on our fundamental rights is not going to keep our children safe either. Our children should not be prey for homicidal maniacs. And our schools should not be as safe as we have here in Congress. They should be far safer than we have right now. And if we're willing to spend $113 billion in Ukraine, then we could pay to keep our children safer. So, gentleman in the corner, thank you, sir, for standing in the corner with a gun, and I feel safer by his presence already. And every school should have you present. I was in high school when Columbine happened, and prior to Columbine, we didn't have the level of violence that we're seeing today. In 1986, you can walk into a store anywhere in this country and buy a fully automatic weapon. And being from Texas, acquiring a weapon has always been relatively easy in my lifetime. Were there more or fewer mass shootings across our country when machine guns were available? I think we all know the answer to that. But we still weren't having these problems because it's not the guns, it's our core values that have plummeted. The left has been chipping away at our...
Of course, he gets on his soapbox and talks some more about that. But it's, I think, one of the big problems of some of these committee hearings is that, although I do enjoy listening to this guy, to Wesley Hunt talk, because he's prior military and he has a lot of important things to say. I believe he was prior military, but he has a lot of important things to say, and I just don't think that they're actually cutting through the nitty-gritty of the issue. I think it's political theater, a lot of it, because pointing out these things give us great service. It serves great service to us that are trying to understand some of these things, and to the layman maybe that doesn't understand what is going on, and to his constituents to show that he's actually doing something about something. But talking about statistics from '86 and talking about this and that and the third and just launching darts at this director solves nothing. It ends in nothing. It does absolutely nothing.
Right.
All it does is gives a good video clip for people to look at, good content for us to chew through. That's fine and dandy, but what does that director take out of that? He just goes over there, takes an ass chewing, and leaves. Like, he leaves with no directive. So I was taught a long time ago by a very competent man to never bitch without a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do bitch with that solution, be ready to be the guy responsible for fixing it.
Yeah.
So
I was taught that when I first enlisted.
yeah, it's
Come up with a problem, you better have a solution that comes with it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
yeah. So a lot of this is anecdotal stuff, and sounds great. It's a fantastic soundbite and good, and it's true, 100%. But it's something that's more left for a good monologue that you and I could go off of, as opposed to trying to unfuck this mess in the halls of Congress.
Right.
Because otherwise, why the fuck do you wake up so damn early that day? I'm just saying, if you're gonna fucking...
See, shit like that, when a department head or like a deputy director of an agency... Huh?
You got them right in front of you.
Oh, that's the thing.
You know, it's...
What I think this is, like 9 times out of 10, is when those department heads or assistant directors or whatever, they usually get an email or a phone call or something saying, hey, you got to come testify before Congress on this date at this time for this long. I don't really see that as anything different than like a company commander being brought to say what, to debrief a battalion commander or brigade commander.
Yeah, but don't let them talk. And that's the thing, like...
I don't see it as any different, though. It's nothing like... There's nothing going to happen from it. It's just information seeking, and that's really it.
Yeah, but they don't. What I'm saying is, at the end of that meeting, when it's adjourned, nothing got fixed.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. It's just information, like you're just saying. It's political theater.
Nothing got fixed. Some information got put out there, but
it exists almost solely to give ratings to C-SPAN.
Yeah, but it's like, great. Yeah, already knew that. Awesome. Now how are you gonna unfuck this?
They're not.
Like, you know, they're not. The rule's gonna go on, and you're gonna be a fucking felon. Mm-hmm. Now, for those people that, and I know several that are kind of like, what the fuck, you know, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Truth is that they don't know who has all these bump stocks, all these braces. They have no idea.
Right.
They have no fucking clue who has what.
The tracking of those sales is...
There is no track. It's not tracked. It's the same as buying a T-shirt. No, you know, it's an accessory. Nobody tracks accessories.
So how would they enforce this rule?
How would they enforce it? They're not gonna.
The only way I can see enforcing is restricting the sale of them. That way, the people who actually do the stores that sell them, the online stores that sell, because there's plenty of online stores. I think even Amazon has those pistol braces because they're not weapons, so they're just accessories. Mm-hmm. So prevent the sale of them, and then there's that thing. And the only other way to enforce that, or actually put somebody behind bars for it, is to send undercover guys to the range. And as soon as you see somebody with a pistol brace on their weapon, zip them up.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like,
that's the only way I can see. I don't think anybody's willing to do that.
No, it's gonna be hard because some of these ranges, like you need a membership to shoot in them. Mm-hmm. A lot of them aren't gonna allow. You can't just waltz in there and then start investigating. It's just not, not recognized law enforcement.
Right.
Anyways, at the state level, so it's just not. It's not feasible. So for those of you that have these devices and stuff like that, these attachments, don't fucking lose your shit. Don't fucking go crazy over it. The only thing that'll happen is that if you do in fact end up shooting somebody, maybe you'll catch a charge after the fact because you had it on your gun. Maybe
possession of a pistol
possession of a pistol brace. Maybe that's the only way they'll find out. So if they can use in the act, and it's an enhancer to whatever they want to throw at you. So, but it's not I'm not too concerned. What do you think about that Morgan Luttrell clip?
Oh, him talking to who was he talking to?
Mayorkas.
Yeah, Mayorkas, the director of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
Yeah, that was pretty stellar. You want to play a clip of that? Please do, because I can't comment on that any better than what he said. He gave Mayorkas a pretty good earful. I've been seeing that trend a little bit in Congress recently with the border security thing. Congressmen are bringing in their own constituents who have been directly suffering because of these the lack of action on the border, and people are losing their lives, they're losing their family members, they're losing their children, and the congressmen are bringing these people in, bringing in the families of the victims, and telling them, you're answerable to these people same as I am. They're right behind you. Mm-hmm. And that's just, what Luttrell did. I think it's Chief Luttrell. Maybe. Yeah. Anyway, what Morgan Luttrell did, the same thing I saw another congressman do. It's like, you have the family sitting right behind you. Why don't you turn around and apologize to them because you failed? Yeah, well done. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's
And some people could see it as using the families as political pawns, but how else are you going to give justice to these people that are losing children? They're losing loved ones. There was another shooting today. A good segue into it.
Yeah, go.
Texas shooting suspect accused of killing 5 neighbors after a request to stop firing rifles. San Jacinto County. So they have identified the suspect as a Mexican national named Francisco Oropeza. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know how to pronounce this stuff. Oropeza.
Yeah.
Oropeza. Yeah. Francisco Oropeza is a Mexican national, and now he's on the run. I thought he was in custody. Apparently he is not. He's 39 years old, so I'm pretty sure region whatever for DPS has already gone out all over the state. But yeah, he killed 5 people, including an 8-year-old, because his neighbors asked him to stop shooting his rifle. Just another border thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you. There's been a there's a hot conversation going on. This has been going on for a few weeks now with Senate and Congress and all these other people. They had Mayorkas, Alejandro Mayorkas, who's the director of DHS. And it's like I said, man, they have this poor guy sitting there and he's just eating fucking a bag of dicks, man. He's just sitting there like, blah, blah, blah. And he's there for hours, man. They're just...
Yeah. Rightfully so. Because who do you hold accountable for this stuff?
So...
You gotta hold the department heads accountable.
So yes, and that's a thing that I've had, like for instance, I was in charge of a section, and a bunch of things happened that I wasn't responsible for directly, but my guys made some mistakes here and there, and in the end, that's how I explained it to everybody. I'm like, hey, look, I am the commander of this thing, and these things happen under my command, and even though you guys know that I'm not personally responsible for it, somebody has to be held to account. And in this particular case, it'll be me. So don't worry about it. It's fine. Happens. Doesn't reflect crazy on me. People get relief from command all the time. Thing is that these people bring these directors in, and it's a firing squad, man.
Yeah.
How do you get? And that's why I applaud Morgan, because Morgan, in a different tone, instead of joining the firing line, he made an attempt to extend an olive branch of cooperation.
Yeah, he did.
To a very unreasonable piece of shit. Because Alejandro Mayorkas is a bona fide fucking piece of shit. There ain't no two ways to fucking put it. This guy's fucking useless.
Yep.
He should walk around with a fucking plant to replace the oxygen.
And he's director of Homeland Security,
He's the director of Homeland Security. He's fucking useless.
How many departments are under Homeland Security?
DHS has
Coast Guard.
has several.
Border Patrol.
Yes. Coast Guard, Border Patrol,
FEMA.
TSA, FEMA. Department. let me look it up real quick. So yeah. Under DHS. Yeah. So yeah, there's FEMA, the United States Secret Service,
Secret Service is under there.
Cybersecurity and Infrastructure, the Federal Protective Services, the United States Coast Guard, and the TSA. So he has 9 agencies at the minimum, and several other spin-offs from within, because some of these agencies have sub-agencies, and
right.
Just like for some of you guys, like I work for when I work for State Department, I also work for as a branch off from that. I worked for International Narcotics Law Enforcement for a while, and I know, and that's a different agency in and of itself. And so they got all this stuff. But Morgan tried to extend an olive branch to an otherwise very unreasonable person. And here's a clip.
And he shit all over him for it too. Like he rejected that olive branch pretty harshly.
Yeah, he stuck to his guns, to his talking points, and what he was told to say and how he was told to say it. And there's something to be said for all these people that have all this education but no smarts. You know what I mean? Like, I had a conversation like that many years ago with the U.S. Marshals. Now, I was coming out of the military, and I was applying for everything under the sun. And back then, the U.S. Marshals, this is before air marshals were a thing and whatnot, so there wasn't a path for you to become a federal agent in any way that didn't require you having at least a bachelor's in something. So the guy told me, and I mean, you need to have a bachelor's, man. And I'm like, so you guys would rather have a man with a degree to go kick in a door than a guy that's been kicking doors for almost a decade to go kick doors? Like, how does that college degree in political science or whatever translates into pie in a corner or going in, you know?
Hold
on. No, that's different. That's different because you had that knowledge before you had the degree. So, so you knew how to pie a corner before you got your degree. That's different. You actually done it for reals. So there's big difference there. Like you've done it with live stakes. You know,
done it with tanks.
Yeah, but you've done it with real things at stake, not with just a fucking blanket out there giving you a gun. You know what I mean?
I get it.
So
why would you pass up the experience for an education?
You're gonna pass up that experience, and so you got a guy fresh from Iraq deployments and whatnot, in shape, ready to fucking go, ready to rock and roll. Now you gotta go get a degree, then you can apply.
Yeah.
Duh, you guys are fucking stupid. And now we know why they're fucking stupid. Here's the guy, the stupid in chief here. So straight from the mouth of babes. Here's a little bit of that fucking Alejandro Mayorkas. Oh my god, it's fucking.
Yeah, it's bad.
Mr. Luttrell from Texas. Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Congressman.
I have a line of questioning I was going to ask you, and I got to tell you, just to mimic Ms. Clark's statements, I think this committee needs to do a better job. If we spend as much time solving problems instead of wire brushing ourselves, there's a point in time I forgot you were in here. And I want to ask you face to face, man to man, will you meet with me in the next few weeks so we can hash this out? Because what I seem to think that I'm hearing is there's a breakdown in communication and the understanding of either vernacular or language that either makes you responsible for what we have of our expectation. And I think there's a breakdown there. So I'm asking you, would you meet with me so I can tell you what I'm seeing from my district in Texas?
Congressman, I would gladly.
Yes or no? Thank you.
I would gladly meet with you.
Thank you. And so I represent Texas 8. We are basically a landing zone for the border, okay? And I want to bring two names to your attention, Mr. Ethan Griffin, age 22, and Mr. Joshua Gillahan, age 14, both perished from fentanyl, okay? And I don't care what administration you're talking about now, right? I'm past red and blue, okay? Joshua died 8 months ago, okay? Here are my numbers, sir, in my district. In 2020, 325 deaths. In 2021, 538 deaths. 2022, 600 plus, and the number is growing this year. Now, sir, you are the commander of the ship. I have to point my finger at you. I wanted you to address me and say, what would you say to the mothers of these two young men, those babies, because they're in the room? I'm not going to politicize you, sir, but I would ask you that when you go to Mr. Pfluger's office, I'm going to have those mothers there. Would you please address that? Because here's my issue, sir. Every day, every day I run into those mamas. Every day. And I have to tell them I'm working on it. Every day in my district, they ask me, why isn't the border secure? What can we do to enhance border security so we are not overwhelmed?
So, so you got to put positive in this stuff, or you could get freaking copyright freaking banned or whatever. But yeah, there's a big distinction here from this clip to the previous clips that I showed you, because, and I want you to realize this as a viewer. And so the difference is that he did not demand an apology from this man. He didn't demand an apology from Mayorgas to those mothers. He demanded an addressment, like, you need to address. Would you mind addressing these ladies, these moms, as opposed to demanding an apology, which could be, which could basically put him in legal bind for,
because it could be seen as an admission of guilt.
It's an admission of guilt that it's a coerced admission of guilt in a roundabout way, but it could be considered res gestae. If it does go into some kind of litigation, it opens him up for litigation, which is what some of these other congressmen and women have done with these members of Congress, with these members of agencies in the executive branches. They've demanded apologies and demanded things. You're not gonna fucking get it. You're not gonna fucking get it. You wouldn't get it from me, and I'm honest as fuck, and I'm not gonna fucking give you an apology. I'm not gonna look at that mom and say, "Oh, I'm sorry because my policy." Nah, I'm not saying none of that shit, because I'm for sure not gonna burn with that shit. Not like that. But the thing is that that's also the purpose of policies. That's why they're not laws, they're policies, because they need to be amended. Is some things work, some things don't, and it provides wiggle room for you to move them around and actually amend them and change them and form them to what it needs to be. But I think Marcus just kind of hit the nail on the head with this one, and just, Morgan, because they look identical.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let's see what else. This is okay.
And every day, your name comes up. And I can't imagine, after seeing what I've seen today, how challenging it is to you to lead this department. We will do better. I give you my word as a Texan and as a congressman that with this committee, we will do better to provide you guidance as a united body so you can secure our border. That's what we need. Do you agree to that?
Congressman.
Whoa. All right, hey, back that up, buddy. I identify as a man, and I don't have any pronouns.
Congressman, I apologize. Congressman, we need to work together to address the challenges that have been the subject of this hearing. And fentanyl and the scourge of fentanyl is one of them. Let me share with you that the scourge of fentanyl is not new to 2023. It is not.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that at all, sir. What I'm saying is these numbers, and again, you heard me say, I don't care what administration you're talking about, these numbers are progressively getting worse. So, you and I, and this committee, and this body politic, need to put aside our differences because it is the American public that are suffering. No wonder they're pissed at us. Yes?
Agreed, Congressman.
We'll never say yes. We'll never say no.
Right.
Affirmative, all these terms that somewhat mean, but are never definitives. No definitives. These people...
You can't. Because you can't walk it back if it's definitive.
Exactly. But what's the harm?
Politically? Could be serious. He could lose his career.
He's already looking at it.
But it hasn't happened yet. He can't.
Well, he doesn't know it.
He's put up there by presidential appointment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Congress can remove him.
He's at the verge of removal. Mm-hmm. He's on the plank. He may not know it because he's too fucking stupid. But he's on the plank.
But even with all that, and even as bad as it looks, he still has about 20 or 30 Democratic elected officials that will protect him and that will fight for him against any committee in Congress that happens to hold itself.
Yeah, well.
And you know I'm right.
Yeah.
He still has a bunch of support in Congress. So he hasn't ruined his career yet because he still has those supporters.
Yeah, but saying yes to meeting with this guy,
Right.
and it's a non-issue. Like, you can always blow him off if you don't want to meet with him.
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, but say yes. No, he refuses to because he's been trained not to say definitives. So he sat there all day too and ate shit, just like the other guy from the ATF just sat there and freaking ate shit, and man, dude. So my thing is like, where? So the music is playing, but where does it end? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
It doesn't end. If you're waiting for an end, you're waiting for a conclusion for that. Don't hold your breath.
Right.
You'll go to the grave waiting for it. Everybody will. That's the thing about governmental entities like that. I mean, accountability it's very seldom that you'll see any official at that level get put in handcuffs. You almost never see it. It happens like once in a generation. It's like a comet passing, you know.
True.
What was that one cult that was waiting on the UFO? What was that?
Oh, is that not the Branch Davidians?
No, it's not the Branch Davidians.
No. The ones with Jim Jones?
No, that was the I forget what their name was, but that was down in South America. What was that called?
No, I have no idea.
Heaven's Gate.
Heaven's Gate. There we go. They still got people.
They still do.
They got like 2 or 3 people there monitoring the website.
Yeah.
The website's still active. You know that, right?
Yeah. There are people that send them questions every now and again, and they do respond.
Yeah, they're waiting on the spaceship.
Diligently. Yeah.
Good job, Sultan.
Guess, man.
I don't know, man. They're fucking dudes. I mean, I guess. Alright, what? So. Yeah, but. There's a bunch of other shit going on, and locally, I guess, you know.
Well, we have that thing in San Jacinto County, and I want to correct myself. It's not on the border. It's just north of Houston. But the guy that they are looking for is a Mexican national, and I don't know if he is here legally. He's got a green card, or that just means he's not a citizen. But I have no idea what his immigration status is. So, yep. Washington has passed law. Well, what is it? Yeah, banned sales of most semi-automatic weapons, including AR-15s and other firearms that have become symbols over their use in mass shootings. Yep. Same thing with the Illinois decision. The judge has already blocked enforcement of weapons ban on constitutional grounds. So these states are trying to fucking do wide swath weapons bans. So anything that meets a fucking very, very wide criteria gets banned. And in that criteria is the AR-15, because it's a semi-automatic rifle. And judges are slapping them down. They're unconstitutional. And of course, they violate the Second Amendment. You can't restrict people's access to firearms just because you don't like them.
Yeah.
But that's happening. Washington's just the most recent one.
Yeah, Washington State has got they got some issues, man. Like, I don't know how they're ever going to walk that back from that.
For what? Oh,
like, Washington State will never be able to walk back all their policies.
Oh, no. Well, they get worse and worse every year, so I mean...
Yeah, I mean, it's just, people keep voting for that stuff, and they keep... Why?
Yeah, oh my God, why is this happening?
Well...
Cause and effect being what it is.
Yeah.
You voted for certain people, and those certain people had certain policies that they were running on anyway, and you thought that was a good idea, so you cast your vote for them. And then they implemented the policies that you voted for. I mean, why are you surprised?
Yeah. There's a... Oh, you.
Then go international. Sudan.
What's up in Sudan?
You know what's up with Sudan. So, Sudan is in the midst of a civil war.
Did they abandon the Americans again?
They already did that like a couple days ago. We just don't
yeah.
record that often. So
Yeah, there's like 19,000 Americans just left behind.
yeah. So in keeping with this administration's like not giving a fuck about American citizens
I think you should
or anybody that helps the United States,
mail the White House a Ranger Creed or something.
they wouldn't know how to read it. They wouldn't be able to comprehend it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Sudan is in the midst of a civil war. The U.S. Embassy, British Embassy, German Embassy, the Chinese Embassy, all the embassies have already been evacuated. The Marines went in and evacuated the U.S. Embassy and protected the embassy from fighters on the ground that were approaching the area. From what I understand, nothing actually happened. The embassies were not attacked. But the conflict between the Sudanese forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which is what the paramilitary group is calling themselves. I don't know why they chose that name, but whatever. So
because they got running shoes instead of sandals.
I don't know. Maybe they're just mispronouncing QRF. I don't know. But that's what it sounds like. Anyway, they're fighting. They're in the midst of a fight, and they evacuated all the embassies. The thing is, there are about 19,000 American citizens in Sudan that are not a part of the embassy. So those people have essentially now been abandoned by the United States. This article says 16,000.
Yeah.
So the convoy's already departed with the embassy staff, and that's it. They're not going to do anything. They've already come out. The Department of State has already made a statement saying that they warned people not to come to Sudan months ago. A lot of these people have been in Sudan for years. They have family in Sudan. So, I mean, they're American citizens. They're there with family. They have Sudanese roots. So, I mean, but the American State Department's not doing anything to get these people out of there. They're not providing any assistance. They're not providing any direction. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to leave them to their own devices. So now you've got anywhere between 16 and 19,000 American citizens in Sudan that are just in the wind. They're screwed. They're on their own now. So they do not have the support of their government.
No. You don't say.
Well, that's the thing I keep coming back to too. I keep having these discussions with folks, and it seems to be the same conclusion over and over again. It's like what I've said to you, what I've said to many of our mutual friends and some of my friends. What's the point of a government? What's the actual purpose of a government? What's the government's goal? Any government, no matter how it's set up,
To exist.
To exist.
Yeah.
They don't care. As long as they're existing, they're fine. Now they can do different things to gain support, but at the end of the day, their entire purpose is to exist. So that's the whole thing. If you look at any situation you can think of that's really bad, do the Red Dawn scenario, right? So a foreign power that's actually capable of projecting its military to the U.S. coast infiltrates the United States and invades the United States on a full-scale war. Paratroopers, beach landings, what have you, it doesn't matter. But a full-scale war invading the United States mainland. What would the government's first reaction be? Probably conscription. They would conscript anybody and everybody that's capable of holding and firing a weapon into the military, so that those people now have to follow the orders of the government to fight the invading forces. Now, it behooves you, it's in your best interest as a citizen to do that, because you're defending your home as well as the government. But the government will do anything it can to make sure it doesn't die.
I think this government is so stupid.
What?
I think this government is so stupid that they wouldn't do that, because they may have to include you into fucking Veterans Affairs or some bullshit.
To pay you afterwards.
Like, pay you afterwards or some bullshit. They'd be like, fuck it. We'll just give up to China because I don't want to pay all these fucking veteran benefits. You know?
I hadn't thought of that, actually.
Yeah, they're not going to do it because they'd be like, you know what, fuck it, we lost.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to, let's sue for peace and hopefully they give us some good positions within the fucking Communist Party. And
the thing is, they'll be negotiating for their own positions.
They'll be negotiating for their own position. No, of course not. Why would they?
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, that's how upside down these useless lumps of shit are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't do, and they'll mask it as a humanitarian thing to not commit the same mistakes from the draft in Vietnam, and they'll do all these fucking things, and people fucking change their profile pictures to fucking fuck the draft, you know, even though the enemy's like patrolling their fucking street. You know, that's how dumb people are nowadays. It's that stupid. They'll change it. Oh, we give you this fucking little NFT that you can put on your fucking profile, and and you can show support for fucking not President Biden is just not trying to institute the draft because he thinks it's unconstitutional. The forces, they'll fucking make up some cockamamie fucking bullshit when the root issue is we don't want to pay VA benefits.
Right.
For all the PTSD from all these soft motherfuckers that we're gonna now roll into this to see some of the craziest shit that you'll ever fucking see.
Yeah. An actual invasion of the United States. Holy shit.
Yeah. Because you think combat is fucking bonkers. Do combat in your house, like in your neighborhood. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like.
That, oof. I can't even imagine that. I mean, combat was hard enough in.
Yeah, you'd have to ask an Iraqi.
So.
You'd have to ask an Iraqi.
Yeah.
So.
Or Ukrainian now.
Yeah, Ukrainian now. You know what I mean? Like, it's that crazy. So it's, come on, man. Like, this government is so fucking. And what's crazy is that they're doing. What they're doing doesn't help them continue to exist in a significant way. Like, you know, with your policies and everything that you're doing, you're damn near putting an expiration date.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of countries. I know I sent you that thing. It looks like you found the full video.
Yes.
So was Zimbabwe,
Yes.
so I don't know what that man's position is. I don't know if he's a community leader or like a local governor or some shit. I have no idea what he is, but he was speaking, and I guess we can put a link to it on our video. But he was talking about the United States comes in and puts in like a bunch of money, say like $16 million, right? We're going to give you $16 million, and it's split between 4 African countries. And it's like, well, what's the money for? The money's for human rights. So what the fuck do you mean human rights? And they're talking about pushing the trans agenda. It's like, oh, you need to respect trannies in your area. These are extremely conservative African countries who have outlawed homosexuality, much less trans stuff. They're not even there yet. They're still outlawed homosexuality. But then he's comparing it to the Chinese or the Russian governments coming in, and they're not giving money for human rights. They're giving them weapons and training advisors for their military, so they can build a military up.
Yeah.
Which ones are the African government's going to actually take to? They're going to take to the Chinese and the Russians because they're helping their government have a military and have weapons and have training. Whereas the U.S. government is coming in and it's like, oh, you need to look at trannies as part of your culture. Yeah, they're not going to.
Yeah, so
it's kind of bad shit that's actually happening. Foreign policy has gotten so bad. I don't know when that video was recorded.
A couple weeks ago, man.
Was it just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah. So I'm looking for it right now. It's Joshua Mapanga, but the thing is that gotta sift through all the reaction.
Yeah. 'Cause that's how I found it. I found a reaction video to it.
So, because he trashed Kamala Harris on another video. I've watched a few of them, but in essence, that's all he's. Joshua Mapanga basically is talking about talking about the big difference, just like James said, just like you said. So, at one point he goes like, stay.
Yeah, stay with that training culture stuff.
We're gonna keep taking the weapons and the training.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Why has foreign policy gotten to the point where we're pushing local American culture on other countries? Because that whole thing, that whole training thing, that is a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we've allowed it, we've set into it, we've propped it up for however long we've propped it up, and it's become part of our culture. Mm-hmm. So now we're pushing our cultural shit onto traditionally conservative African countries. Why?
Oh, you saw the snapback in Uganda. Uganda outlawed it.
Right.
They made it illegal.
They made it illegal. Is it the trans thing or homosexuality entirely? Because I've heard
all
both.
Of it.
Yeah.
All of it. Depending on what it is, you can end up with a death sentence on your head.
Mm-hmm.
So they will kill you. So this is not something that's strange in time and space. Mm-hmm. Societies, different species of animals have always thrown their underdeveloped, consumed their handicap.
Mm-hmm. Well, famously, the Spartans tossing kids off a cliff, even though that probably wasn't true.
Probably wasn't true, but there's probably a level of truth to that. It's just not don't consider the source material of 300 for any kind of historical value because
most of them are gay anyway.
Yeah, the Spartans were, if they started throwing Spartans over a cliff for being gay, there would be no Spartans.
Right. Because that actually is a historical fact. Like most of the Spartans, they were homosexuals. Most of their military was homosexual.
Their battle buddies were their lovers.
Yep. So they could fight as lovers.
Which is why I fucking face palm every time I see fucking Spartan helmet.
The Spartan helmet as
my god, it's a fucking symbol of fucking something. I'm like, oh, you fucking homo.
You don't know your history.
You don't know your history. These guys. You want to claim that you're not? It's just like a super conservative guy with a freaking with General Lee's battle flag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, dude, he's a
Democrat for one thing.
He's a Democrat. That rebel flag's not a rebel flag. It's
a rebel battle flag.
It's a rebel battle flag. It's the fucking flag of General Lee's army from Virginia, and it's a Democratic flag.
Yeah. It is.
Doesn't mean that you're conservative. Insane. But whatever. I mean, it's neither here or there. You just kind of like look at it, snicker a little bit. I wonder I see how many people fucking... I got a bunch of my friends have tattooed on their bodies. It's just like...
Spartan helmets.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's the other thing, too. The Spartan helmet looks very, very different than what they're actually putting on their body. So what they're putting on their body is not the Spartan helmet. It's just the helmet from 300.
That's the helmet from 300.
That helmet is actually not Spartan. It's Corinthian.
Corinthians.
And welcome to your free history class.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Corinthian helmet. It's Corinthian style.
But, I mean, I don't want to fall off the rails on the whole 300 thing because it's just fucking ridiculous. But,
this shit I've needed to get it out for a while. It's been bothering me for years.
What, the gay part?
No, it hasn't. I don't give a shit. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay. We did see that video, fucking...
What video?
What, one dick 10 times, or...
Oh, that, yeah. I love that TV.
Oh,
my goodness. It's hilarious.
That is fucking funny. It's a valid question.
One dick, that's a commitment. 10 dicks.
10 dicks. That guy, man.
What?
That guy's
Marine Corps.
That guy's a maniac. But yeah, I mean, it's Well, let's see. Yeah, this clip is over an hour long, man. It's an entire interview. Joshua Mapanga in Zimbabwe, and he talks to these people on the Hustlers podcast or Hustlers channel. So it's very, very insightful. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any of their comment other than any of their content other than this.
Right.
And I mean, they did it. They did it good. He ended up expressing himself. He's very articulate. Very. What would our president call him? Clean. He's one of them clean, articulate fellers. That fucking racist fucking son of a bitch. But
oh yeah.
I'll tell you, yeah.
He's one of the ones that can actually talk.
Yeah, oh, he can try to talk, because he's he's very clean, very. What? The fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, he's a very articulate freaking guy, and he speaks a lot of truth.
That's the thing about
I'll try to link it. I'll link it to this podcast because I'm not.
Yeah. I mean,
gotta run through it, but it's pretty freaking good, man.
We're talking enough about it, and I thought it was really, really insightful for what our foreign policy is. Because I've heard.
What's a perspective?
I've heard mostly jack shit about American foreign policy right now. I heard a lot about it under Trump, but I haven't heard much about it under Biden. And if that's the case, if that's what the Foreign Service is doing. Through the State Department, through our embassy missions, and they're pushing trans agenda by putting up money for human rights, specifically for trans rights in those countries. That's insanity. Why are you doing that? What's the point of that? Why are you pushing American culture on these African countries? We should be pushing trade agreements. Why aren't we pushing trade? They have their own damn culture. They don't need ours.
Yeah.
Make a trade agreement with them. Isn't that what the Foreign Service? You work with the State Department.
Yes.
I never worked with the State Department.
Yes.
So I mean,
with State Department and other NGOs, there was some organizations that were facilitated a space to operate within State Department's umbrella, like USAID and some of these other people under NATO and under the UN that needed hospice, somewhere, needed to be housed somewhere, whatever. So they would stay within State Department. Sometimes we would provide them with security assistance because of the austere conditions of wherever they were operating in. We provide them with security drivers, or give them access to intel reports, eyes only stuff, where they can actually protect themselves a little bit better. But they dealt with a lot of the nuanced stuff that the ambassador wasn't gonna sink his teeth in, because the ambassador's dealing with the safety and security of the nation and its relationship to the United States, and so they would deal with human rights. And by human rights, not so much in Afghanistan. Let's stop stoning the girls.
Right.
Let's open schools. Let's create a pathway for education for the little ones. So there was a lot of coordination with the military, Army Corps of Engineers, and some of these other places. But the thing is that in Afghanistan, it was more of a gesture to trying to get these people up to a modern level of operating.
Right. Because
we're also funneling money to these people, and to facilitate their infrastructure improvements and whatnot. And the Afghan person simply does not give a fuck about any of that.
Right.
Because an Afghan can be just as happy as a sheep herder as a billionaire. It don't make two fucks about it. It's all important. The most important things to that person are his livestock and his family. And that's not really, they're not poor. You look at them, we look at them as them being poor. They are not poor. If they have livestock, or if they have land, they can tell they're not poor. They look at you like you're crazy because you care about all this other shit. They're not concerned about those things. So a lot of the pushback from the Afghan population was that with all these new improvements, there's a whole new set of concerns that are coming along with it, because now here comes regulation, here comes laws, here comes, for them it's too simple. Sharia, as it was disseminated by their elder. A lot of them are they you know, analfabeta, you know, they can't talk. They can't speak and write.
Illiterate.
They're illiterate, yeah. So a lot of them are illiterate. So they can't read the Quran. The interpretation of that religion is disseminated through their elders, and they follow that code, whichever it may be, and for the most part is very moderate, but not extremist,
Right.
but very moderate. Extremist to some outside of that area, but they believed in that in Sharia law, and they see the erosion of the Sharia law within the modernization of their country, and I like it. They push back on that shit. So that's the constant struggle the State Department always has when pushing these, allowing these OGA, these other governmental agencies or these other non-governmental agencies to come in and start pushing all these side pet projects that belong to Congressman so and so or whatever. That would be pushing the cultural bounds of that country when that's not what they want. A lot of countries just want your money.
Yeah.
But then for what? You can ask for what? You know, it's kind of like, I mean, we delivered money all over Afghanistan. That's not a secret. There's plenty of books out there that depict it. I've personally delivered money to warlords in Afghanistan. That's not something I'm not afraid of saying that on camera. It's just fact. For a million different reasons. Someone was like, "Hey, dude, I know you got some hardware. Just here's some grease money, and don't shoot at us." You know what I mean? Like, a lot of it was for other reasons. Like, hey, here's some money, build a school, build a well, whatever. You know, there's a lot of water projects, a lot of electricity infrastructure, a lot of cell phone stuff. So another thing they found out through many of the years is that Afghanistan is damn near impossible to govern because no central government has been able to hold, not even theirs, has been able to hold down Afghanistan for any significant period of time because of the geography.
Yeah.
Communication is nil in some of these places. They started building. They propped up companies like AWCC and Roshan. Started providing cell phone coverage, and T-Mobile partnered in, and they started propping up cell phone towers all over. Now, I mean, in the middle of nowhere. Like you could be driving. You could be in the desert. No light pollution from anywhere. Like the darkest of nights, so dark that if you look up, it'll give you vertigo.
Right.
And you'll run into a cell phone tower.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just little shit like that. Like it's just like there was an effort to bring that network together to be able to communicate with all these provinces. They didn't fucking want that because they already have a Loya Jirga. So they get the Loya Jirga, which is their meeting of elders, and they catch up on current events and catch up on what the hell's going on, and then they deuce out and they go back to their village. They don't give two fucks about what goes on in Kabul.
Right.
The president of Afghanistan has always been known, for as long as I've been in Afghanistan, as the mayor of Kabul. He is the elder of Kabul. That's it. He has no power in some of these provinces. You go out there by Ghazni, Torkagar, freaking, I mean, you go out in the Korangal, Jalalabad, up in the freaking, I mean, up by Asadabad, and you go to some of these places where you got one street, one road, 2 lanes, goat path into a valley, and that's it. That's village, whatever. That guy can't exert no influence down there. But you be rest assured that I fucking would take a goddamn USAID lady out there to go talk to some elder about letting his females go to school. And that's the last thing he wants. Because what is the last thing that any dictatorship wants?
Yeah.
A well-educated population.
Outside influence.
Outside influence. Now they're super polite because what they could have done is just killed us. And just put us on a spit like they do in the freaking the old cartoon movies.
Dump you in a hole in the desert.
Just dump you in a hole in the desert.
Yeah.
That's what they could have done. If I was them, that's probably what I would have done. I'd have just killed us and just be done with it. But they entertained the idea. Oh yeah. So you go, okay, cool, all right. Well, now USAID, some of these other NGOs and whatever, they're getting roped in, and they start providing funds. Next thing you know, you prop a school. The school gets built. Nobody goes to it. They got all this money to put teachers there and put all this other. The teachers get intimidated not to ever go there, so nobody ever goes there. The school ends up nothing. Then a couple years later, they turn it into some hospital because it turned out to not be a school.
Right.
And then after they get enough money to buy enough weapons, arms, trucks, and everything to protect themselves or to exert their power on the neighboring province, then they burnt that school to the ground. So then now we have no more reason to go over there because that project failed. But there goes, I don't know, 36, 40 million dollars in taxpayer dollars. They just went gone.
Yeah.
You know, it's a thing that's been going on for a while. Like it's almost like I've used the phrase before incorrectly, mind you, but it's kind of like prima nocte. You know, I mean, like you're just trying to breed the thing out by influencing the cultures with our and it's eventually it
try to influence
ironically it's been happening to us. So as we exert our culture outboard, somebody else puts their bullshit in our web and starts spreading out. Next thing you know,
it's been happening to us.
It's been happening to us. I mean,
like
Nikita Khrushchev said it.
Yeah.
He said it that the death of America would come from within. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know his exact quote, but Nikita Khrushchev put that out, and it's and back then you could have looked at that and gone scoffed at him like, the fuck does he know? Fucking Ruski, fucking he don't know shit.
Nikita Khrushchev, what would he know? Yeah,
what would he know?
Here in Russia.
Yeah, what would he know? Well, he was right, and it's in. The thing is that we're sitting in a position where the President of the United States, with for the most part, with about as much evidence as I could muster, is guilty of crimes for the most part. I mean, he's definitely warranted an impeachment by now.
Yeah.
Far more evidence of wrongdoing, of misdemeanors or serious crimes are in front of him than they ever were in front of Trump. As a matter of fact, some of the subjects of these impeachments could include the impeachments of Trump for fabrication of evidence, false reporting. So they recently came out with the actual truth of what happened with the Hunter's laptop when it came to that verifying letter of 50 intelligence agents or intelligence community professionals that apparently said that that this was most likely Russian disinformation or Russian hoax or whatever.
Right.
Well, it came out that they were coerced into signing this letter, and it was false. They had no idea. They had no visibility of that. So that already came out as a falsity. I mean, the Steele dossier, who was commissioned by falsities, the warrants, the warrant that was obtained for like under false premises and stuff like that. I mean, you got Hillary Clinton smashing all her phones and all the evidence and disposing evidence. She does no time in jail. You got freaking her husband going over to Epstein Island 27 times. He doesn't
even get investigated.
Don't even get investigated. Hillary Clinton paid one little fine, and that was it. But they freaking went into Mar-a-Lago and raided the hell out of that thing, even though the president has presidential authority over the documents he gets to keep as personal property for the president that he can declassify at any freaking time and keep it.
Yep.
He has that authority. And they still circumvented constitutional authority that the president has and raided that place to get those freaking documents. And what they actually did was they probably did an exploratory freaking side mission there and try to collect some other shit so they can try to pin some other tail on that donkey.
And the thing is, even that speculation, that's a reasonable speculation.
Of course.
It's reasonable.
Can't prove it.
No, you can't prove it.
100%.
But just that being a reasonable speculation says a lot. And most people in the United States would probably agree with that statement. That's a reasonable thing to speculate on. Nobody trusts the FBI anymore. Nobody trusts our federal law enforcement anymore.
It's crazy.
I mean, it didn't have much trust up until it lost a lot of its clout with the Ruby Ridge thing and the Waco thing.
Well, the Ruby Ridge and Eric Snowden's leaks were telling.
What little trust or faith the American people had in federal law enforcement is gone. You cannot trust the FBI anymore. You cannot trust. You never could trust the NSA. You can't trust the ATF. You can't trust the DEA.
The NSA.
You can't trust any law enforcement. You can't trust any federal law. None whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
They're either all out to protect one, seemingly the Democrats. They're all out to protect the Democrats, and that's what it looks like. Like everything they are doing is to protect the Democratic Party. And how the hell did that happen?
I mean, Soros.
And who knows?
And
all this speculation. You can't prove a damn thing.
I mean, the thing is that my thing is that so everything seems to be pointing at the globalist agenda and all this other stuff, and the thing is that if that's the goal, it's moving at a snail's pace.
And rightfully so too, because you can't do a direct coup overnight and actually expect it to be successful, but you can do a coup over 50 years and it is successful.
Mm-hmm. Man, I tell you, them cats, man. But the U.S. has always been pushing their influence outward like that through State Department and foreign policy, and it's always been weird. It's like I one of my missions was with a mission with Department of Justice, protecting jail wardens. These wardens from TDC and all this other stuff, and they would go to these penal institutions in Iraq and whatever, and just
teach them how to
actually operate a prison, and we do personal protection for them because inevitably they'd walk the tiers and whatever, and they'd be some of them jails were 4 walls in a cage, you know what I mean, like. And you pucker factor because you're putting in American, sometimes it'd be American female because wardens are wardens, don't have a sex requirement. It could be whoever. So if they're smart enough and badass enough, there they are. So we're doing personal protection of these people inside these facilities, and it could get dicey. Just watching the interactions between some of these wardens and trying to, it's like throwing water at a stone, man. Like, I mean, they tried.
Yeah.
They tried, but they got their ways, man.
Yeah.
And they're deep rooted in tradition, and you're not gonna tell them. You're not gonna tell them, because you give. Let's say we'll give $250,000 to a jail. You'll be like, hey, here's $250,000. That's gonna buy your indigent packages, your indigent packets, your maybe a barber chair, get some get some grooming equipment so you can have whatever, a washing machine, dryer, and all these other things, and the rest you can use it to secure foodstuffs for your kitchen. And we're like, all right. They'll pay the water bill. Build a trough. Put a spigot on it.
Yeah.
Buy some soap and some fucking and some boards, and that'll be the washer. They'll put some line out for the dryer, and now you can dry your stuff in the sun in the dust. And they'll buy enough food stuff to feed you once a day, and they'll put the rest in their pocket.
Yeah.
Because that's how it is.
Yeah. That's how it's always been.
Because the warden that's there, Colonel so-and-so, well, Colonel so-and-so bought his way into that position. He paid for his rank.
Yeah.
So now he's Colonel blah, blah, blah of this facility. And he does whatever the fuck he wants. And there ain't nobody from any part of the planet come in there and tell him any different. So he grabs whatever's left after that $250,000 and he'll buy himself a badass freaking pickup truck, and he'll walk around now with a security detail. Because he can now. Because he gave him money to do that. And then when you come up, he'll like, oh, so how did the expenditures go? Did you buy it? Oh yeah, they can wash their clothes now. He show you the trough, show you the water, show you the soap, show you the clothesline.
The complete measure of bullshit that he's...
Yeah, I mean, he did what you want. I mean, did he not?
No.
No, I mean, not by definition. But he met the boxes. Because, he checked the boxes. You can wash your clothes now. You can dry it. That's yes. That's a yes. Do you have food in your food stores? Yes. But you don't feed them. You feed them once a day. It's crazy. And if you want to eat more, okay, well that's fine. Now you got to pay. And now instead of people putting money on books, now people got to get money and buy it, and that becomes a commissary. So whatever they buy now becomes a store that the colonel directly makes money off of.
Yep.
All right, so I'll give them that. They bought the barber chair. They sure as hell did. Legit barber chair. And a mirror and everything. That's it. But I mean, it's they don't. The judicial system over there, it's what it is. So we had guys that were they were Afghan, Iraqi and Afghan prisoners, because I've been in that mission on both sides on both theaters, and there'll be a prisoner in jail that did not go through the judicial process at all. They saw him gallivanting with somebody's daughter. They didn't do anything.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. Nothing that warranted a mercy kill, an honor kill, or anything like that. They didn't do anything. But they saw them together somewhere. Word got back. Blah, 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 blah. Now this dude got roped up by the police and brought straight to the prison. And now he's doing a unspecified sentence for God knows what. For whatever. Like, oh yeah, and so then a communique will come down and be like, oh, we caught so and so. One of the wanted guys that's on the list. It's not even the dude that's behind the jail.
Yeah.
Not even the dude that's behind bars, but he can't talk. He don't get phone calls. So this dude that's behind bars is not the dude that they say is behind bars, because the dude that they say is behind bars has already been. His trial went without him because he was on the run. So he was tried and sentenced without him being at court. Right. And now that he's captured, he goes straight. The police can take him straight to the prison. And you're doing prison sentence now. It's just fucking crazy. I mean, that's how it is in these countries, man. So Just like the criticism for Donald Trump for meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong Un. Okay, so he does crazy stuff to his population.
Mm-hmm.
Key word, his population.
Mm-hmm. It's always been the battle about national sovereignty and human rights.
It's his population. So human rights, fine. You can argue that. But are we the only nation that's capable, that was capable of fighting their own war for independence?
Was at the time? No.
Was.
Are we?
No. Like I'm saying, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to conflinge, but just kind of interlace both timelines. I'm saying, like, as far as nations that fought for their independence, is America the only one that could fight for their independence?
We are the only country that fought a foreign power for our independence. Everybody else fought their own power.
Right.
So like the Russians in the Bolshevik Revolution, they fought the Russian Tsar.
Right.
The French, during the French Revolution, they fought the French crown. The Germans, that was more peaceful. Hitler was elected, and even before Hitler, the Weimar Republic became a thing after World War I, and the Kaiser was deposed.
Right.
So I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, let these people figure it out.
In North Korea,
let them figure it out.
That's impossible.
Well, that's their problem.
Nah.
It's not ours. Sure as hell ain't ours.
No, it's not our problem. But
it's not our problem.
I'd like to see North Korea be free of the Kims.
Sure.
I'd like to see it.
Sure. Their problem, though.
We could help. Unfortunately, the United States government doesn't actually give a shit about human rights. And they don't care about people suffering. If they did, North Korea wouldn't be a thing nowadays.
No, neither would be the genocide in other countries.
Right, in other African countries. Sudan, this was civil war, wouldn't be going on.
Darfur, Nigeria.
Nigeria.
I mean, we can go on and on and on. I mean,
Botswana.
We can go on and on and on. I mean, I know I've published
Kosovo.
that list before. Well, I mean,
Kosovo wouldn't have happened. What's his name? What was that guy's name?
Slobodan Milosevic.
Yeah, Slobodan Milosevic. Wouldn't have been a thing. But he had the protection of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
So that's how he gained his power. And we weren't willing to violate sovereignty. But we're willing to do it in certain cases, just not all.
Yeah,
especially if that place that's doing egregious human rights violations has the backing of a world power, like North Korea's backing by China. And then China just happens to be the #1 trade partner of the United States.
Well, it's a it's a shame, but I mean, people. My thing is that if we're not going to care, let's not care all the way.
People argue that all the time. Isolation policies.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it because the thing is that
as I get older, I'm more leaning towards that, more towards isolationist policy. When I was younger, it was like, yeah, let's go smash ass on anybody that's fucking up their own people because it's the just thing to do. But yeah, as I age, no, it's for the most part, it's not our problem. It sucks to see it on TV, but. And that's the thing. A lot of things aren't being covered on TV anymore. Like the French protests. Is what you were telling me, the largest protest in human history?
Yeah, it's
no coverage. Zero.
Yeah. So people stop going to work, man.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I keep saying about, like, here in the United States, the main thing that keeps people from getting out there and protesting and actually standing up against government overreach and government just being a bunch of fucking dickheads that are bought and paid for by corporate entities. The biggest thing that keeps people from doing that is I've got to work in the morning and I've got kids to feed.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you.
That's the biggest thing. And if the French are no longer considering that as as a reason to stay home, to raise their families and not give a shit about the government. If they're no longer considering that more important than whatever the government's doing, now you got a serious problem. Because there's only two options. Either you submit to the people, which the government is supposed to do,
Yeah.
or you make the people submit, which means firing into crowds.
I mean, dude, it's
That's the only way you're going to stop them.
that is a tough croissant right there, bro. Like, I don't know, man.
I know I'm right though.
Yeah,
There's only two ways out of that. The government
Well, my
either submits to the will of the people, which is right and what's supposed to do, because I mean the government is supposed to rule by the consent of the people. That's what a normal government is supposed to do. Well, at least nowadays, that's what a normal government is supposed to do. Everything's allegedly. Well, one submits to the other. That's the only two outcomes. Either the government submits or the people submit. And the people submitting, you're going to have to kill a few of them to make them submit, to make the rest of them submit.
Of course. Yeah, it's a fucking nightmare. But I mean, I'm all for, like I was saying, I'm all for isolationist policies. But the thing is that I just think that you should have your house in order before you start working on other people. Now, of course, that's a minimalistic way of thinking because I'm thinking of it in a term that relates to, say, me personally. Right. So I understand, but lacking all the information that surrounds justification for not being isolationist, I'm gonna be an isolationist. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that you should have your things in order before you start projecting outward to help other people. I don't think that that's mutually exclusive to my personal situation as a person.
Okay.
I think that has to carry over into the world scene in a sense, at least in a small sense.
Right.
But we got hundreds of thousands of Americans living on the streets.
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans that are hungry every day. We got. I mean, there's a lot. Now, granted, a lot of people don't want to fucking live in a house, and a lot of people don't want. They're homeless because they want to.
Yeah.
And I get that, but there's so much that we could be doing for ourselves as a population before we start worrying about what the fuck is happening over here, what these guys are doing to each other, you know. But I mean, you got.
But how else is Raytheon supposed to make money?
Exactly. That don't make Raytheon any cash, man. So
just to pick on Raytheon.
I got you, Raytheon. Dude.
General
Dynamics.
Lockheed Martin.
I got you.
Boeing.
Got you. Military industrial complex gotta keep rolling, bro. But
a lot of times that's the main reason for it.
Speaking of which, yesterday, Saddam Hussein would have been 86 years old.
Who fucking cares?
I do. I do. It's Happy Wahhabi Day. April 28th. Yeah.
No.
Oh, fuck Saddam. Piece of shit. He's ironic is the only guy that could keep the country together.
You saw what he did to achieve that.
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. What was necessary. Guy's a freaking maniac. Homicidal maniac. Flat out. Yeah, you'd have been 86. I mean, provided that his heart wouldn't have given out
or his sons wouldn't have killed him.
Sons wouldn't have killed him because they were also homicidal maniacs. But yeah. I mean, and they already started changing names on all the installations.
What, in Iraq or?
No.
Oh, here in the States?
American bases.
Fort Cavazos.
Yep, Fort Liberty. But yeah, it's that's pretty neat, but
that's all a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess, man. But I think this Sunday is coronation of the King of England.
Yes, I hadn't been keeping track of that at all.
So, what made news is the coronation will invite the public to swear allegiance out loud to the king. So,
We'll see how that goes down. I don't know how the Brits actually see King Charles. I don't know if they respect him or they despise him. I have no idea.
well, he's old as shit. I mean, he's ancient. So, this dude. But yeah, so the coronation should be dumb. Whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck monarchies. Stupid.
I like watching the Thai King. That guy's entertaining.
That dude's got it going on, man.
He's batshit crazy.
Oh, bro, you have no idea.
You're right. I really have no idea.
No idea,
I just see
bro.
the little bit I see on the internet. It's like that guy's fucking insane.
Dude, the montage video he made to himself that he makes everybody see. It's crazy, bro. It's a weird montage video of him doing great things, and it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. But sure as shit, there I fucking stood, fucking just tall and proud, fucking what? Because if I didn't, there could be some problems.
Really?
Oh fuck yeah. Oh, you disrespect the king? I don't care what fucking country you're from, dude. Do that shit in fucking Thailand on purpose.
I'll do it.
Well, I'm not gonna be there. Yeah, you're on your own on that one. Go ahead, take that ass whooping on your own. Cause I'm sure as hell not gonna be around that. Yeah, you do that kind of stuff. Fuck. I mean, I remember a fucking. So they put a freaking they put a shrine to the king on the highway, man. Like it's a 2-lane county road basically.
Right.
And a fucking traffic bumper to bumper, man, going up and then down this mountain. And I was sitting there in this cab, man. I'm like, what the fuck is the holdup? The holdup is that every car had to stop and pay homage to the freaking shrine of the king before they kept moving forward, bro. It's like it was worse than a stop sign. You know what I mean? So.
No.
Yeah. You know what's fucking bonkers? There wasn't a soldier around for miles.
Nobody to enforce it.
Yeah, nobody to enforce it. That I know of. I mean,
gotcha.
I mean, maybe it's like some
enforced by helicopter.
Some Thai sniper over there in the freaking hide or something. I don't know. You know, I don't know. It beats me, man. But yeah, and I had to get out with my cabbie, and he was just kind of stand there next to him. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. You know, let's go, fucker, man. I'm a fucking time hack. This shit, it's like my fucking. My rally point ain't gonna stay open for too long.
Speaking of respecting monarchies.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you. So before the start of any movie in the movie theaters, that's
I remember that when I was a kid.
With the Pledge of Allegiance and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we only saw movies on military base.
Correct. But that happens now. But that's how it is now.
Yeah. They still play the national anthem.
Yeah, they still play the national anthem. So that's
the only place.
It's the same thing. Like the experience is the same thing, right. But
the thing that nobody requires you to stand up and pay respects.
Yeah, but you love your country. This is somebody else's shit,
right?
And now you gotta like play by the rules, or their fucking Gestapo could take you away, or some bullshit. You know, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
The tiny little fucks, when they bunch up together, they'll fuck you up, bro. So, you take one or two on your own, but you know, after a while, you're gonna have to knock one out and hit others with him.
Yeah,
you know, it's a fucking mess. I know. I mean, Kenny seen me do it. Kenny, you remember that shit? If you ever see this podcast, that was fucking crazy. Yeah, hit another tie with a tie. That's an achievement on Xbox. It has to be. It has to be. I swung that dude around. That was funny.
That's good shit.
But yeah, it's not just. I mean, you imagine the backlash if American freaking policymakers went over there to push culture to, you know, it's just That kind of stuff is just, it's retarded. It's retarded. But I'll hopefully I won't forget to link this dude, because he's very insightful. And I'll put his video on there. It's about an hour and a half or so, but so is ours. So
Yeah.
and he's way more intelligent than we are. So at least he sounds like it. I don't know.
He has more information on that particular piece of foreign policy.
Yeah, that topic is pretty sharp on.
That's nuts, man. I can't believe that. I can't believe we're actually pushing that through foreign service officers.
Mm-hmm.
And it blows my mind that now these consulars are no longer protecting American people. They're no longer trying to forward American agendas or American assets. That now they're, oh, you gotta make sure dudes that wear dresses are cool. Fucking what?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's their play point. That's their playbook.
Yeah.
Human rights for.
You know, they justify it through tourism. Because
that's insane.
They're trying to ensure the safety of transgender people.
Who's the Secretary of State right now?
I don't know. Fucking douchebag McTwat fart.
Thanks. That's
yeah. Fuck that guy, whoever he is, or gal. You know.
Anthony Blinken.
Oh yeah, Anthony Blinken. How could I forget? That guy's been eating a bowl of dicks too in freaking Congress.
The thing is, the buck stops with him as far as like foreign service policy or foreign service action.
Right.
He runs. Well, I don't know if he directly runs. I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
None of these people do, and that's the thing. So they are the lid. They are the open lid on a fucking jar of worms.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're just sitting at the top, and the worms are fucking doing fuck all whatever they want. So they're like, hey, look, man, you're going to take this position, and we're going to put you here, but I want the office of Pink Skirts United to operate under your umbrella, and don't fuck with them. Let them do their thing. They facilitate their move into freaking Africa East.
Yeah. Yes.
And off they go, right? And that's how these guys get in front of Congress, and they don't know dick about shit. They're like, so what do you have to say about the committee of pink dresses and blah, blah, blah high heels? Huh? What about the $287-something million expenditure for blah, blah, blah? Huh? Because they're fucking lids on a fucking can of worms. Right. They don't know dick. They're just there. Shit's happening. Worms are going wherever the fuck they're going, and they're just there. They don't know a fucking thing. They spent millions of dollars with lawyers preparing for these briefs.
That's what I was about to bring up. That one guy, they actually called him out on it. It's like you spent like $3-some-odd million on a prep team so you could prepare to testify before Congress.
You don't know dick.
You
don't know dick. You get there and they ask you questions. They got the stats. How can they have the stats from your department, and you as a director don't have the stats?
Right.
How do they know more about what you're supposed to be doing than you? How? Yeah. That's like a person coming from wherever to try to teach me how to properly employ an M240 ball machine gun on the battlefield. I'm gonna fucking look at them like you're fucking out of your goddamn mind if you don't fucking say